Hi there, welcome back to another edition of Pimp My Filter, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at another canister filter. This one would be described as being something in the budget range, and it is the Aqua AQ150. The 150 has a 1800 litre an hour pump, which is a meaty pump. It costs 25 watts in the way of power consumption. By the way, 1800 litres is 475 gallons per hour for you guys in the US. The dimensions of it are 7.1 inches by 7.1 inches by 16 inches tall, and that is 18 by 18 by 40 centimetres. And it's recommended for a tank up to 350 litres or 92 US gallons. And product features are described as multi-layer filtering, flow controllable, sealed against leaks, circulating purified water. After all, it's what we want from a filter. We want the water to come in dirty, be filtered, and go out back to the tank clean. Oh yes, and the cost of this at the time of making the video is $89.99. That's English pounds. I suppose that's the equivalent of maybe $100 maybe, or thereabouts. And I'll explain later why I think that's possibly a little bit too high. Now, the first thing I notice about this filter is its perfect colours, black and white, for the magpies. But apart from that, it's got a nice sleek design. You know, it is a good looking filter, and it seems to be pretty well made as well. You know, nothing feels chintzy. It's got 4 clips, one on each corner, in a very similar fashion to the Pro 2 series from Eheim. It's extremely similar to that. Oh, also, it's got a really meaty priming button on the top, and when you prime it, you can feel the air flying out of here, so that is going to pull the water from the tank and fire it through the filter very well. It's got your in and out, a release, so you can take that off and take the filter away to clean it and so on. But built into that, that's your flow control. And I'll explain in a bit why that is a very nice feature. Bring the camera in, I'll let you have a look inside. Now, I think this probably could have been reduced in height a little bit, because that is a very big inlet for the water. Oh my god, it's huge. You'd expect something like that on a massive filter. Okay, so that is the huge inlet which goes down to the bottom of the filter. And as you can see, that takes up a nation of space, not only in that top section, but also in all of your trays as well. So there's a lot of wasted space there. So that's our top grill. Get that out. And this is a neat feature, because all of the trays are actually clipped together. So you can just lift them all out in one go. And then in the bottom of the filter, in the bottom of the bucket as it were, we've got fins on each side, and that helps to keep the basket up off the bottom. So there is space there to put some what I call primary settlement media, which coincidentally we've already got in the filter, because this stuff is hopeless. But it's good just to slow flow down and, you know, redistribute it so that it just saves the foams getting as clogged. Clips are pretty good. Just plastic, but you know, it's a decent quality of plastic. And also on the bottom of the canister, it's got little rubber feet, which means that if it's vibrating a little bit as the pump's running, it won't rattle. It won't rattle the surroundings. Okay, so those trays are surprisingly small for the size of the filter. That wastes a lot of space, and we've got the corners cut off as well. So obviously that eats into how much media or foams we can get into each tray. There's 3 trays. Now water comes up from the bottom of the canister, through the trays, and then out back to the tank. Hopefully clean. So obviously you would expect all the foams and fine pad to be in the bottom, followed by media. But unfortunately that's not what we see here. Little clips on the side there. I'll just try and get that in. There you go. Again, reasonable quality plastic, nothing to complain about. They are a bit of a bummer to get off though. That's it. Right, so let's start with the bottom tray. Bottom tray should be foams and fine pad. What we find is fine pad and filter media. Next tray up, i.e. the middle tray, more filter media and another pad. This one would be classed as a coarse, possibly even medium pad. So as you're rapidly figuring out, everything is totally the wrong way around. You know, the water's hitting the fine pad first, and then the medium one, and you guessed it, hits the coarse pad last, which makes no sense whatsoever. And there's more media in there. So to be fair, there is a reasonable amount of media. You know, 3 little bags, pretty good. If you had all your foams in the bottom tray, if you could fit them in, because each tray has got a handle which tucks inside, so if you could fit all the foams in there, you would have 2 trays left for media. In fact, I think we'll do that. We'll see what we can fit in just using the materials that we've got. So if you didn't want to buy any more filter material or foams, fine pads, nothing, you just wanted to use what comes with the filter, I'll show you how to set it up. Okay, so that was our bottom tray. Nice quality fine pad. It doesn't want to be on the bottom though. Our coarse foam from the top tray wants to be in the bottom of the bottom tray. The medium pad from the middle tray wants to be next. And I'm already running out of space here. And then in an ideal world, this would fit from the bottom tray. It might. Yeah, I think that'll squash down. Okay, so in the bottom tray now, we've got coarse, medium and fine. So the muck that comes in from the tank is going to be clean by the time it leaves this tray and heads up towards our remaining 2 trays. And now let's fill up the remaining trays with media. God, it's dusty stuff that. Okay, so in the bottom tray, we've now got foams, fine pad, so that ensures that the water's clean. That's our mechanical section. Next tray up, we've got filter media, which was supplied with the filter. Next tray, we've got filter media. As you can see, there isn't anywhere near enough there to fill that, but you know, it is what it is. That's what comes with the filter. Definitely needs a top up. And then that would sit on top of there. That would all slot back inside the canister. Happy days, everything's set up correctly, and water should be clear and pretty healthy as well, certainly with regard to the ammonia and nitrate. You know, this stuff, it's just made from a ceramic slurry. It's cheap Chinese media. Now, I did do a video that featured this sort of stuff a good while ago. It's called Looking Inside Filter Media, and I used a digital microscope, which was about 300 magnification maybe, which is a good magnification because it's clear enough to see exactly what's going on inside the media. And this one didn't look very good at all. Plus, it's so brittle. You know, I mean, it just falls apart. You saw the dust on there before. Not very good. Actually, there's a lot of shrapnel in there where it's just been broken in transit. Look. It's no good. Then again, it's better than nothing. So if you wanted to run just with that, be my guest. But we're going to set it up with something better. And we'll fill these with a media called Biohome Ultimate. I'm sure you're familiar with it if you've been watching this channel for a while. It's an excellent media. It's basically made from sand and a few other ingredients, which creates the perfect structure. Again, look at the Looking Inside Filter Media video to see the structure, but it creates a perfect structure. It's basically... it's exactly what bacteria needs to colonize. So you get way more bacteria living in your filter. So you get processing of ammonia, nitrite and nitrate. And it's the nitrate that we're trying to reduce in this filter. Even though it's got a high flow rate, within the bits of media that we're going to be using, as the water's flying through the filter, it gets slowed down inside the media, and that's where the magic happens. So you can still achieve anaerobic filtration in a high flow rate if the media will slow the flow down. I've explained this a million times. I'll put a link to the questions and answers page on my website, and I'll also put a link to the posts that I've put on my channel, because that further explains, plus there's a scientific study on there. We're going to fit approximately 800 grams of BioHome Ultimate into each tray. So for the total, it'll be a good 1.6 kilos, or for you guys in the US, that will be 3.5 pounds, so 3.5 pounds. But now obviously, if you take your time to pack it in neatly, it will probably take quite a bit more than what I'm putting in here. But I'm just putting it in loose to allow the water just to fly around the outsides. Any other current will go inside the media, be slowed down. All of the outer surfaces will support the aerobic bacteria for the reduction of ammonia and nitrite. All of the inner surfaces, where the water's moving really slowly and becoming deoxygenated, will support anaerobic bacteria for the reduction of nitrate. That's a full cycle. That's full cycle filtration. That's what we're aiming for, and that's what the figures that are coming up in the next couple of minutes will be based on. Just bear in mind that if you're going to be upgrading your filter, any new filter media should be rinsed before you put it in. I'm not rinsing this because I need to send this back dry to Anthony. Get in there. Yes, it will. Good, good. Okay, there you go. So now we've got the foams and fine pad in the bottom tray, just as we did before, but instead of that, which I will weigh, we've got 1.6 kilos or 3.5 pounds of BioHome Ultimate. I'll just weigh that and see how much was in there. Okay, so the stuff that comes with the filter, which is the cheapest of cheap Chinese filter media, it's god awful. 745 grams or 1.64 pounds. Now we've got 1.6 kilos, which is 1600 grams, or 3.5 pounds. So there's more than twice as much, well, actually accessible surface area. There's probably 20 or 30 times as much accessible surface area. We've basically upgraded the filter way beyond what it was currently capable of. I'm going to sort all of the hoop-shaped bits out, the tube-shaped bits, and I'm going to put some into the bottom of the canister, because we do have some space there, and that, when the water comes in, it'll help to settle the media, it'll help to settle the flow out, and it'll also help to support some bacteria as well. Not masses, but some. Yeah, I think that'll probably do it. And in reality, a better media to put in the bottom as a primary settlement media would be Eheim Mech. It's very hard, small ceramic tubes. I use that in a lot of my filter upgrades. I'm just having a look around to see if I've got any left so I can show you. I don't think I have. I think I've used it all, unfortunately. Yeah, I've used it all. I'll put a link to that in the video description, as well as anything else that you might find of interest. That would be a better media to put in here. It's smaller, you can get much more in, so you can get a greater surface area into the bottom of here. And because it's got quite thin walls, the water will go all over the place. It'll slow it down much better than this stuff will. This stuff is better than nothing. The last thing you want in a filter is a void. Unless it's a vortex where the water's spinning around and the muck is settling out. You never want a void in a filter. Fill it with something. Just a quick note, whenever I sell the filter media, the BioHome, I supply those, which are gel filter starter balls. They would just be added in with the media before you set the filter away. They slowly dissolve in the presence of ammonia and nitrite, and they will help to seed the filter with good bacteria. If you wanted to turn this into a nitrate filter, i.e. one in addition to another filter that you had that was doing most of the heavy lifting as far as the cleaning went in your tank. All you would do with this, you would fill all the trays up with filter media, and using this flow control on the top, you would slow the flow right down. Slow it down to a crawl, so when it's coming back out, it's literally dribbling back into the tank. And what that'll do, it'll ensure that the water that is very slowly flowing through here will become deoxygenated. The more deoxygenated the water is, the more likely the bacteria living inside here will be anaerobic without oxygen. So every surface area, instead of just the surface area inside the filter media, you know, even the outer surfaces, if the water is deoxygenated, will support anaerobic bacteria. So as far as nitrate reduction goes, you can enhance it massively just by slowing the flow right down through a filter like this. Okay, so a few facts and figures before I leave you. We've got 1.6 kilos or 3.5 pounds of biohome ultimate in here. And if we're after achieving a full cycle, which is the processing of ammonia, nitrite and nitrate, it means that this filter is now in its upgraded form suitable for tanks up to 160 litres or 42 US gallons, and that's based on a normal stock. So that's a normal community tank, a few plants, just your average sort of tropical tank. If it was heavy stock, so if you had predators in the tank, if you had goldfish, if it was a marine tank, that would be classed as a heavy stock as well. Even though it might not be heavily stocked, bacteria doesn't grow as well in salt water, so you need the filtration to be beefed up, etc, etc. That means that this would be suitable for up to 80 litres. That doesn't sound like much, does it? It doesn't sound like much. So 80 litres or 21 US gallons. Which leads me on to the two main downsides of this filter. I'll do the downsides first, and then I'll list all the positives. Actually, there's three downsides. First of which is the fact that it only holds 1.6 kilos of media. Equivalent filters, or equivalent priced filters, tend to hold at least 3 kilos, almost double what this will hold. That is down to the pump head being very thick or big, very tall, and the trays being relatively small. The corners of the trays are shaved off. You've got that huge pipe that goes all the way down, which takes a lot of volume away from each tray. And also the price. Currently it's $89.99 English pounds, or roughly $100 or thereabouts. For £15 less, so for $74.99, or roughly, I don't know, $80, $85 or thereabouts, you can get the All Pond Solutions 1400 EF. That's Echo Foxtrot EF. That easily holds 3 kilos of media. It only has a 1400 litre an hour pump, but it's any amount big enough for that size of filter. So yeah, it has got a few downsides, but it is a well-made filter, and obviously it comes with all the necessary attachments, the pipes in and out and spray bars, all that sort of thing. And it's also, well, yes, let's get on to the positives. So it's also got an excellent primer. It looks good. Not that that should sway your decision, because I would prefer a filter that was twice the size that looked crap. But the clips are good. I like the way that the trays clip together. I like the idea that it's got a little bit of void in the bottom for you to put that primary settlement in. That does make a difference as to how often you'll need to crack this open to get into it. I like the idea that it's got a flow control on here, so you could easily turn one of these into a nitrate filter, which would absolutely pound the nitrate. It would hammer it. And it's, yeah, it's just a well-made, good-looking filter that unfortunately is probably 10 to 15 English pounds more than it should be as far as the cost. If this was just a little bit cheaper, it would be a easier recommend. But even with the price, you can probably get one on offer as well. Even with the price, it's still a good buy. It's a good filter. Yeah, thanks very much to Anthony for sending me this. Just a quick word on full cycle filtration. Most people online copy and paste things that they find in Google searches. So they will tell you that full cycle filtration, i.e. the processing of ammonia, nitrite and nitrate, is not possible. They'll say that ammonia is converted to nitrite, which is converted to nitrate. Then you do water changes to reduce the nitrate. You don't have to. Well, you do ideally have to freshen it up now and again and obviously clean the bottom of the tank. But nitrate can be processed by a filter through bacterial means. It's a 100% natural process. You know, there's nothing overly scientific about it. It's a natural process. And as long as you allow the bacteria to colonize everywhere in the system, so that's the water, the substrate, the rocks, everything inside here and in the filter media, your foams, everything, it'll process the ammonia, nitrite and nitrate as long as the filter is big enough for the tank and you use a suitable media which will support suitable bacteria, which is aerobic for processing of ammonia and nitrite and anaerobic for processing of nitrate. It's a simple process. As long as you're not starving the bacteria by using a water conditioner which says it will detoxify, remove or bind the ammonia, nitrite and nitrate, then your bacteria will just be absolutely everywhere inside the tank and inside the filter, doing a great job. So just avoid using those water conditioners. There is notes on that in the video description and also on the questions and answers page, which I go into that in massive detail, and also on the community or posts tab of my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Feel free to comment, although after the first day or so I probably won't see the comments because YouTube sends me no updates whatsoever. You're best to get a hold of me by email or by phone. Those details are in the video description along the bottom of the screen now and also on my website. Thanks for watching. I shall see you next time.